Ladies and gentlemen, it has been long overdue, but it is my honor to say welcome to the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. I am the heel that you love to hate, O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Hey, yo, what up? It's that TOOJIGG2 Jiggy, TJ Jefferson here. And let me just tell you this. No Vaseline is not just the name of the greatest diss track of all time. It also kind of explains how we've been getting done when we're trying to book guests for this show. But hey, I digress. Welcome back to the No Contest Wrestling Podcast, and Merry New Year to everybody out there. O'Shea, where you at, kid?
Man, I'm in New York. I got this big old New York puffer jacket on that I will never wear anywhere else because it does retain heat very well. But yeah, I'm in New York, freezing in the snow. But I know that's quite the opposite back at home. Yeah. We just want everybody to know that we over here at No Contest, we know what you're going through. We fully acknowledge that there are more important things than us recapping wrestling going on, and we are very appreciative that you give us the time. Hopefully we can take your mind off of whatever you're going through. Our prayers and our thoughts to everybody involved in the evacuations. And it's one of the things that living over on the California side of things, it's a battle that we've dealt with a lot. Yeah. We're thinking about everyone involved, and we're with you. Hopefully we can entertain you for these 45 minutes to an hour and take your mind off things, make you laugh a little bit.
Yeah, everyone in the Los Angeles area. I mean, it's devastating, man, to see the sights and the sounds. And look, I consider myself one of the very fortunate ones. I'm closer to the airport, closer to the ocean. So right now there's a pretty safe distance. But man, friends, people that I really love and care about, I know they've been displaced. And like O'Shea said, man, if you're here in town and you're battling it, man, maybe we could just take your mind off of things for a little bit. And that, that's always what we want to do anyway.
I'm over here in New York doing press for Den of Thieves 2.
Pantera.
And Pantera is right. And we had the Breakfast Club in the morning. And so I couldn't find my daughter's grandparents on her mom's side. They weren't answering the phone. I couldn't, they weren't texting back. I hit her mom, was trying to see what was going on with them. She said she hadn't heard from them, but everybody's okay. My child's mother's house has no power, but everybody's safe at least. And yeah, it's been a real all over the place day. So I know personally, Don, our man running the ship, TJ, everybody involved over there, RJ, Del Tufo. I don't know if you're there, you're lunatic.
Jay Felly's here right now today.
Yeah. What up, Jay? But yeah, everybody involved. I'm glad you guys are okay, man. I missed you guys.
Yeah, man. It stinks, but just got to power through and pray that everything will be all right in the end, which we can only hope right now. But
exactly.
Yeah, man, let's talk a little wrestling to try to ease.
Let's do some wrestling.
Ease this levity.
Hold on,
bring some levity to this. Oh yeah, he's got the grills and you know what I mean. All right, O'Shea, if you didn't see, he showed up on the main show, the Rich Eisen show last week to promote the movie, and he came in rocking grills. And Rich had mentioned how, like, normally when you come here to do the pod, you're dolo que solo, you're by yourself. He goes in the green room when you came and you had the whole, what was New Line? Is that
No, Lionsgate.
My bad. I apologize. You had the whole Lionsgate team back there. You had your stylish, you had your wardrobe people. Rich was like, he came in brand new. And I was like, he's on that movie star tip this week. That's what that was all about.
Exactly. Lionsgate stays, they stay with me during the interviews to make sure I don't go off the cuff. But I'm trying to tell them I'm a professional until I got to be a heel.
Exactly. Well, let's talk about what happened on Monday night, big dog.
Yes, sir. Hold on.
Let them know what went down on Monday night.
I still got my wristband, bro.
Me too.
Yeah, absolutely. It was, I knew it was going to be big. I knew by it being the premiere episode of Netflix, Raw on Netflix, that they were going to go all out because that's what they do. Paul Levesque and Nick Khan, they are sickos, and they know that they got to go big on the premiere in Los Angeles, and they did it the right way.
Yeah.
I mean, just the entrance alone with the curtain drop. Number one, TJ reminded me of the Kobe and Shaq curtain days when we used to have the curtain drop into the middle of the court. And I know we were into it, but man, that wall looked great for a wrestling show.
Yeah.
Oh
The
man.
Intuit Dome. I know you're a Clipper hater, and I know that was your first time in the building. You had to have been impressed. That venue, yeah, it goes up high, but it's smaller. It's pretty intimate. It felt like you were right there. And yeah, man, it was just the presentation, the look, the feel, everything about it was on point. Now, let's talk about, a 3-hour Raw that only had 4 matches. Yeah. A lot of people were down on that a little bit, but here's how I look at it. You're introducing now Monday Night Raw to a Netflix audience of what they say 280 million people have the possibility of watching this. So for a lot of people, this was their first time watching wrestling, watching Monday Night Raw. So I can understand why they tried to pack as much history, as much fanfare into, the 3-hour show just to kind of welcome everybody to Raw and to the WWE.
Yeah, and what they did was something that I got crucified for a year or so back when I asked it of a certain other promotion. If you're going to introduce new fans, new eyes to your style or your presentation of wrestling, then maybe you should give a bit of a backstory on a few of the things that's going on so people feel involved. It's the 4 matches thing caught me by surprise, and I'm a fan. But I saw that it was necessary. I saw that they're showing you, here are our key players. Mm-hmm. Here are the people that you're going to be watching that are going to be pushing the needle for us as a brand. Number one, having The Rock come out first, setting the tone, the biggest star that they've been able to produce as far as going into film and things like that, world-renowned name of this era. You have to start it off with Dwayne. Him coming out, who do you have him speaking to, showcasing in the front row? Your undisputed champion. This guy might not have a match tonight, but this is the guy that you're going to be paying attention to as new fans of the WWE. This is our guy, Cody Rhodes. Now, the biggest shock was we are starting off the night with tribal combat.
Well, O'Shea, before we get into that, can we get back to The Rock real quick? And, reading social media, I kind of thought this myself. He comes out and, the last time we saw The Rock, obviously, he was the final boss. He was that version. He comes out now and he's more like, I guess, corporate Rock, corporate Dwayne, you know, and I guess I do get it, right? I do get that, you don't want him coming out as a heel when this is the first thing that some people are seeing. A lot of people don't know heel Rock, so it might be kind of off-putting. So in a sense, I get why he came out the way he did, but the whole thing with Cody was kind of strange to me. The last time they were seeing each other, he was whooping Cody's ass in the rain in the parking lot with a weight belt. He's talking about his mom. There should be some friction there, and yet I guess we're supposed to take what happened and then poof, put the Men in Black thing in front of us and in like 2-3 weeks forget that it ever happened. So that was something that was a little strange to me. I was hoping maybe there might be something there, but they were laughing and giggling and high-fiving. So like I said, I guess it was for the Netflix presentation. And again, I think that we're supposed to forget it ever happened in a few weeks in the lead up to WrestleMania.
It was strange because to see him come out and big up Cody that way, it's hard for us who have been watching this so closely to kind of put that in perspective. But I think you hit the nail on the head. That was not necessarily the character coming out. And maybe, perhaps, Don't dress like the final boss. Let us know that you're coming out as something different. But yeah, to see him come out and speak so highly of Cody, to raise him up in the eyes of the viewers, I think it was strictly a company move. And I think it'll raise eyebrows when I do feel eventually we see that same guy go back to how he was. And I think the hint to that was make sure you tell Mama Rhodes or give her my regards.
Yeah.
You know, I think that was a hint of like, no, that's still there.
Yeah, this
But
ain't
right
over.
now, it's something different. It's something bigger than us. Because even when, and we'll get to the match, but even when Roman got the Ulafala, there was still that pause. Everybody in the arena was still like,
I was waiting for.
oh no, is this it? Yeah, exactly. So it's still hinting and teasing, but at the same time, they feel that maybe they got to introduce the new eyes to what exactly is going on. And that's why you start off with such a familiar face like The Rock to kick it off.
Yeah, man. And so I guess we jumped ahead a little bit. We already gave away the ending of the first match, but the very first match that you ever got to see, Solo Sikoa against the face of the WWE. Let's just be honest, for the last 5-6 years, Roman Reigns. And so what a great way to kick it off. You put your biggest star in the first match, and tribal combat, which to this day I'm still not sure what the rules are of tribal combat. Basically seems like it's a no disqualification match. I thought there was going to be no interference. I wasn't sure of the rules, to be honest with you, but we all knew what was going to happen. We all knew that Tama Tonga and Jacob would get involved, and it was just a matter of who came out on Roman's side, and it happened to be Jimmy and Sammy. They came in to kind of even out the odds. But at the end, after a hard-fought match, a little back and forth there, Roman, of course, came out the winner. He is now the tribal chief. He is in possession of the Ulafala. And we're going to see where this goes from here. What does this mean for Solo and the new bloodline? Do they stay on Raw? Do they move to SmackDown? Like, that's the question. Does this thing keep going between them, O'Shea? I'm not sure. I'm not sure where this is going. But, we're here for it.
I didn't even think of the new bloodline moving to SmackDown and them causing havoc on SmackDown. You're like, because we had such a shift when SmackDown became the A show. It was really because I was there once again. That happened in Los Angeles as well, where SmackDown became the A show. They had the blue carpet and all that, and that was at Staples. Back when the world was regular, and it was Staples Center, and so that's a very interesting take. I personally thought that if Roman did win, that somehow the new bloodline was going to pop the Ulafala in the ultimate sign of disrespect. But obviously, bro,
I don't think anybody wanted to do that.
that would have raised some hella eyebrows.
You would have had the Chief shaking in his boots off and seeking. They would have came back, bro.
Yeah, so I didn't know where they were going to go. It was so good as a Roman fan. Anybody who knows me knows I'm a huge Roman fan. To see him get the dub, it wasn't an easy victory, and I think you're damn right, TJ. You damn right. I think it was an easy for those listening. We put our fingers up in praise of our tribal chief. But it was beautiful to see. It wasn't an easy victory. I feel like story-wise, they handled it the right way. When KO came out, I said, "Oh my God!"
Now that I got to be honest, that was a surprise. I did not see that coming. Because when you think about,
like, oh my God, no.
Think about Kevin Owens. His whole argument is that Cody came out to help Roman after Roman tried to destroy basically KO, and now here's KO coming out trying to help Solo, even though Solo was part of those beatdowns on KO too. So yeah, that was interesting, and that was something that came out of left field. I did not see Kevin Owens pop up out of there. But here's one thing I did notice, right? From where you and I were sitting, I'm always interested, when the arena goes dark and the workers come out, and I just happened to be sitting right there. And I saw, all the workers come out, they got their hoods up, and they're trying to be discreet. But then I saw someone come out and the hood was up and it was tied up tight, right? I'm just, for the radio, got my jacket basically covering my face. And I was like, somebody's going under the ring. And then because it's dark and I watched them, the ring crew kind of surrounded this one area. And I'm sure that at that moment, that's perfect time for if someone's got to go under the ring or something. So I think that's where Tama Tonga came from. I just know he popped up out of nowhere. So I'm assuming he was under the ring. And I kind of think I saw how they got him there. So I always like to, see kind of stuff like that. Because I've always wondered, how do they do that? How do they get somebody under the ring like that?
Because with WWE, it's such a machine that, as impressed as we are with the superstars and all the things that they do, there is basically a NASCAR team working around the clock around this ring. And those guys move in such a way that they're not giving anything away. It's not obvious until you have a trained eye for it. And from my vantage point, I saw them all with hoods on and thought, okay, somebody's hiding in that crowd on some Assassin's Creed type shit. And he popped out in such a way where I was like, I didn't see him come off the wall. Like I didn't see it.
No.
And he was just there.
And unlike Tongaloa, he was on time for the 2 count to pull.
Yo, stop. Yo, TJ, chill, bro.
Tongaloa, that's my guy. He was a little late on his debut.
With everything involved in that match, it worked like a WrestleMania finish. And it just felt like how I felt with how Cody won the title, but just with everybody involved within the storyline. And I think what Tribal Combat really means is a no disqualification match, not for the title, but for the name and for the honor of Tribal Chief. So the title is being called the Tribal Chief, and anything goes matter. And it was handled the right way to have Rock come out and give the Ulafala to Roman. It seems like there's a nice bow on this, but we know this bloodline thing, with as many family members as they have, with as many twists and turns as they've given us. Exactly. And it was a beautiful way to showcase everybody involved to the new Netflix crowd. And obviously I love that Roman got the dub.
No doubt. And just a great atmosphere. The crowd was into it. Get it? But yeah, the Tribal Chief, he had to come out on top. It would have been interesting to see what would have happened had they gave Solo the win, but in the end, it was best for business. And I read a tweet. Somebody tweeted that Solo got buried. I don't know why I said buried.
What?
They said it was a burial. And top dollar, AJ Francis, he came out on Twitter, and shout out to AJ Francis. He's interacted with us on Instagram, and hopefully we'll have him on here sometime soon. But he goes, as someone who legitimately was buried, this was not a burial. He goes, you don't get buried by losing to the biggest star in the company on the biggest match in the history of WWE. So I kind of agree with that. A loss isn't necessarily a burial, especially in this case.
Yeah, dude. And so many people online want to trash Solo, but then when that happens, y'all want to complain of like, oh, it's only 4 hours. Like, bro, give him his props. That was a banger match. It was a storytelling match. And this might be the end of the chapter, but it was a finale for a chapter. And it felt box office. It felt like two leaders going at it, and not just like a megastar in Roman going against another storyline competitor. It felt like two leaders of two groups finally calling it what it is. And it felt like that Raw was a PLE. It was not a regular Raw. We were watching a PLE. And we've seen PLEs with 4 or 5 matches before, and that's what happened. And for that to be what kicked it off, That's how you knew that we were in for a special night.
Yeah. And so yeah, the tribal chief Roman Reigns. Oh, I was lost in thought. I was like, there's something I want to talk about. Here it was. Roman, and because you and I are sneaker guys, Roman in those custom Kobe 9s that, man, do yourself a favor. I posted on our Instagram page and our Twitter. I took a pretty good picture, but I found some online. He just had some custom Kobe's that were just sick, and I know you love those.
Bro, I grabbed my sister so fast. It said, oh my God, Roman's wearing Kobe's. What? Roman's wearing Kobe's right now. Roman wears Jordans. I know, but he's wearing Kobe's right now. He's in LA rocking Kobe's. This is the dub. A dub is on the way. My buddy Roman and my little brother Sharif and my uncle Rob were just a section over. Mm-hmm. And I yelled to my buddy Roman, he's in Kobe's. His jaw dropped. Because we all know Roman Reigns is a Jordan guy. Yeah, I mean, the Air Reigns are still coming. They're on the way.
And I'm getting them.
But, bro, when I saw him rep LA in some Kobe's, I was saying, oh, he's leaving with a victory. He's leaving with a victory tonight, bro.
And it's funny, speaking of which, because when I got to Intuit Dome, you and I just randomly ran into each other in front of the elevator. So I got to meet your sister and your brother, which was dope. And so it was just kind of strange, but cool that, you and I got there at the same time almost. I'm sure you were there a little bit earlier, I think. But we sat in the same area. We were able to communicate with each other during the show. But one thing you did do that I just couldn't stand, I got to be honest with you, you bought a Lakers title belt to Intuit Dome, man. Like, come on. That's insane.
Look how happy I am.
That is just, you popped up on the big screen and people cheered, and then you pulled, and I cheered for you. Then you pulled the belt out and I booed. I booed you. I booed loud. I stood up and booed.
That's my boy. I wouldn't want it any other way.
And then, and like I said, we're going out of order here, but we put that picture back up. Shout out to Pat McAfee, man, who as he's announcing all the celebrities there, he mentioned, O'Shea has a great wrestling podcast. So he didn't say the name, which is fine because everyone who heard it went to their phones and was like, oh, what's the podcast? And they came up with No Contest Wrestling Podcast. So big shout out to our guy, Pat McAfee, for, for throwing it out there. Yeah, man, that was dope of him to do that.
Yeah, dude. And listen, when they were showing who was in the building and they showed our man Ashton, don't act like you wasn't on that screen, bro. Don't act like we ain't see. Let me tell you something. Like we ain't see TJ on that screen, bro.
Let me tell you something. Let me just tell you how this story went. So as you can see there's Ashton and his son Bear. Bear just turned 8. Bear's my godson. So about 2 years ago, Bear kind of started talking to me about wrestling. He knew I liked wrestling, and just one day he's like, well, what's this wrestling? So I start telling him about the history of wrestling, and I started with Andre the Giant, right? Because I wanted someone larger than life that he would look at and be like, who is this? And so I start telling him about Andre the Giant. I showed him pictures of Andre. I showed him old Andre matches, and I'm talking like 1979, 1980 Andre when he was still moving and, and still in good shape. And, and he started to get into it a little bit, and then when this happened, we were able to take him to his very first match. So this Monday Night Raw on Netflix was the first time he ever saw wrestling in person. So for me to be able to be there for that, man, thinking back to my grandpa taking me to the Jaffa Mosque in Altoona for the first time. And so just to be able to have that memory, because I know he's going to remember that forever. But the thing is, I gave him some homework, O'Shea. And not only did he do the homework on knowing who people were, I said, okay, this is Cody. You got to know him. You got to know Jey Uso because we're going to yeet when he comes out. My man, threw himself into wrestling, and he was asking me questions that I couldn't even. I was like, how do you even know that already? So him and his dad went on YouTube, and, when I got into the car, because we drove together, he was watching the Royal Rumble, and he was he was ready for Jey Uso. Let's just put it that way. So it was really an awesome feeling and an awesome moment to be able to share and kind of, I don't have kids, man. So for me able to share that love for wrestling with him was great. And he had a great time, and it was awesome. It really was. It was awesome to be able to have that moment and have that experience.
Yeah, dude, you were able to, when all of us as wrestling fans, we all have that moment. We all have that moment when we know I'm never putting this shit down.
Right.
And like for you to be there, dude, that's something that you got to be able to hold. Look at you next to Fluffy too.
And so I was sitting between Fluffy and Bear, and Fluffy was doing some stuff with New Day, so he had some pre-tape packages because he had his big Netflix special, which dropped immediately after Raw. So what kind of a lead-in is that, man? 3 hours of Raw and you're there, and then your Netflix special drops. But he and I were sitting next to each other, O'Shea, almost the entire time. We're chopping it up about wrestling. And I'm sitting there, and I introduced myself. I'm like, hey, I work on Rich Eisen's show. You came on about 2 years ago. Oh, good to see you again, blah, blah, blah. We start talking old school wrestling, this, that, and the third. And the whole time, O'Shea, I'm like, man, I know I just saw his name on an email. So about like 2.5 hours in, I finally go to my phone and I look at my email and I'm looking at our booking schedule. I'm like, yo, you're coming on the show tomorrow. He goes, I am? So it was awesome. He came on the main show yesterday. We really got to break down Raw and we talked about it. And he's just a great guy, great comedian. Check out his special. He also wants to come on the podcast and his goal is to beat CM Punk's numbers. And I was like, hey, man, if anyone can do it, I said, it's going to be tough. He can do it. But he's down. He's down to come on. So we'll have Fluffy on this podcast sooner than later, I'm sure. But and here, Pat McAfee posted tweeted out a picture of him and Dominic Mysterio's dad, Ray. And you can see who is just sitting right back there, kind of caught in the middle of two legends. Bro. You know what I'm saying? You and I know we were both getting our phones blowing up. I was looking at Twitter. People were like going crazy that they saw us. And then you told me that McAfee shouted out the pod. And I'm like, how do you know? You're like, somebody texted me. So, yeah, man, that was dope. It was dope to see, the celebs in the building, a lot of longtime people. A lot of people were complaining, right? Like, oh, celebs took up all the ringside seats. But these celebs were big fans. Seth Green, Macaulay Culkin. Those are big wrestling fans. You know what I mean? Topanga and Eric from Boy Meets. Those are real wrestling fans. Vanessa Hudgens. That was, she was sitting behind me. Those are real wrestling fans, man. It wasn't just like anybody was getting there. These were people who love wrestling and love being there. So
let me tell these dudes something, bro. Because I have been to a bunch of Raws, a bunch of SmackDowns. I've been to 2 NXT pay-per-views. I've been to 3 WrestleManias. I've been to Survivor Series. I've been to TLCs. I've been all over with WWE for years. TJ, that was the very first time in my life that I was given a spot where they put my name under me, man. Oh, that was a huge moment for me. That was a huge moment for me. I mean, to have my brother and my sister there, for me to get called around for my camera spot. Number one, when I heard them pop for Macaulay Culkin, I was like, shit, can y'all do me later? Because
Matt got a huge pop.
Bro, huge. when the dome almost came off when they saw Macaulay Culkin. But then, when it was my time, dude, and I'm looking up at the screen to see when I come on, it was hard not to just stare at the screen.
I bet, man.
Because that was a huge moment for me. My city popped for me. And it was like
and you only got something that I'm going to hold on the Laker title.
I got halfway booed, but I'm a heel, baby. That's what I need to have.
But the cheers did come first. The cheers did come first. And
yeah. But they know what it is, bro, when they see me. And my favorite part is going on Twitter immediately and seeing Laker fans be like, that's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, when we were walking in, I was trying
to heel crowd.
When we were walking in, I was trying to get security to snatch the belt from you and not let you bring it in because Steve Ballmer didn't put all those toilets in the Intuit Dome for a yellow and purple belt to make its way through. I mean, God, that was
purple and gold. It's purple and gold.
But yeah,
dude,
that was awesome.
I just couldn't help it.
And I'll say this, like you and I, we haven't known each other very long, about 2 years, and we've gotten a little closer the last few months. So. I'd love to see people who I like and love win, man. So to know what you got coming up, you're going to have the #1 movie in the world. I'm just going to call that right now. Then the Thieves 2 Pandora. Pantera. But then, to see the love you got for that and to see the love that they were showing you there, by proxy, I felt like some of that was coming to me because, now people are going to look to that podcast and they're going to see you, but they'll also catch a little bit of me. So I'll celebrate your wins just as well as I celebrate, Ashton's wins or Wilmer's, any one of my boys' wins, man. So, I was happy. It felt good to see the people pop for you, dog. I can't front.
Dude, all I want to do is get my name as big as possible, through film to get us more eyes. And one day, TJ, we will be doing the No Contest Wrestling podcast from the middle of a ring in an arena for that company, dude. I want that. And that way, all our guests got to come down a ramp. We will get there one day, brother.
Like Trick Willie said, I need it. Oh, yeah, man. I need
it.
But let's get back to the card now. Like I said, a lot of cool folks, a lot of celebrities in the house, a lot of hardcore wrestling fans. But, now we move on to the women's world title match, which saw Liv Morgan take on Rhea Ripley. And now I'm not complaining about this, but, we're live in the studio, so we don't know how long, like, are we on commercial? Are we still live? We don't know what's going on. All I know, and I mean this respectfully, we literally got the way we were sitting, we got the shot of Liv Morgan's back end that just sat there on the ropes in front of us for like a solid 10 minutes. And I'm like, are they going to wrestle or are they just going to stand there? So it was a little confusing being there, not knowing why we're waiting so long. And I was like, is this on TV or is this not on TV? But it was just okay.
Look here, TJ. Don't you question God's blessings. Don't you do.
Look, I don't want to make it weird, all right? So I'm trying not to make it weird, but I'm just saying, it was like, okay.
Wait, hold on. I got to charge my phone.
So
hold on.
But so finally, Rhea comes out, and Rhea is as big of a star in the company as there is, and she came out. And I thought her and Liv, I thought there was going to be a stipulation. At first, I thought I heard it was like a last woman standing match. And then it was nothing. There was no stipulation. A decent match. Rhea came out on top. She regained the championship that she never lost. And now we got to see where this is going to go. Like, who is going to step up to challenge Rhea Ripley for this championship? Like, who's next in line?
Yeah.
Is it going to be Raquel? Because Raquel is one of the few women who physically in stature can stand across from Rhea and look like, they could give her some problems. So is it going to be Is it going to be Raquel? Are we done with the Liv Morgan revenge tour? Are we still going to see Liv and Rhea? Like, who's next for Rhea in this world championship, in your opinion?
Yeah. And you really raised a lot of questions for me when it comes to earlier. You talked about the OG bloodline moving over to SmackDown, and the feuds that we had outside of Punk and Seth. They just don't seem like they're going to end just because of one night. Right. But at the same time, how many times can we see Solo and Roman go at it? How many times can we see this Liv and Rhea thing? Lord knows the internet is all over it every chance that they get. Also, I just want to shout out Rhea. Rhea looked like such a demon when she was standing in the ring.
She looked like just a super duper star.
Yeah, dude. So it's obviously how, we were in a weird position last night where it seemed like all the baby faces were winning. Mm-hmm. I honestly was nervous when you see Raquel and Dominic outside the ring and Rhea has nobody in her allegiance. Like, if Damian Priest came out, all right, yeah, sure. But then Raquel is still there. So, I definitely was surprised with the outcome. I, being a Rhea Ripley fan, always wanted her to get her title back. We've been seeing her do the chase for so long. Like I said, this Raw was a PLE, so it coming to a conclusion makes sense. But how am I supposed to believe unless there is a injury or moving shows that this feud is over? How am I supposed to believe that they're just going to let Rhea move on away from them while they just sit and lick their wounds? Yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see. I'm obviously happy with Rhea getting the W. My man Dom, I want to just say, was assaulted. Okay? He was assaulted. The match was over. Okay? The sanctioned wrestling match is no longer there. And Rhea, you attacked a coworker on Netflix. Okay? Kicked him in his dirty dom.
Let me tell you something,
and
man.
Like, bro.
I'm sitting, Ted Sarandos, head of Netflix, the reason we were all in the building, was sitting in front of me. And I'm like, you're doing this in front of Ted. Like, I don't know if there's going to be repercussions or ramifications. I don't know. You can't attack dirty Dom Mysterio like that in front of Ted Sarandos. What are we doing here?
Dude, we're lucky his mustache stayed attached. It was such a brutal kick, dude. My man is going to be soprano.
He got kicked in the Mysterios, man. That wasn't, and all he was trying to do was maybe, let's settle this beef. He went for a hug, and then Rhea kicked him in his little doms, man. And that was
my man is going to be full falsetto for the next couple of weeks, and it's just not fair. But I understand you're the champion. You're celebrating, and I noticed. You talked about being as close as we were, noticing differences happening. And I noticed that when Liv lost the title, number one, Raquel, could you be a worse outside help? You didn't even get in there. But when Liv lost the title, they exited through the crowd. They didn't exit through the ramp.
Yeah, they came through
the... it's almost as if the ramp was going to be busy for some reason. Then you hear, boom, bro,
the gong, and then
the gong. The gong, bro.
Rhea wins. She's walking down the ramp, and then boom, here comes not the Undertaker, not just the Undertaker, but American Badass Undertaker on the bike. And I just thought that was kind of. I get you're trying to pack as much celebrity, legendary wrestling power into an episode as you can. I was kind of like the rub. Undertaker giving the rub to Rhea Ripley is great, but like, what? I don't know what that does other than just pop the crowd, which is fine. Like I said, it's Netflix. Yeah. People are watching. They're like, oh, the Undertaker, and I guess, being in proximity with him maybe gets her over a little bit more. She's already as over as you could possibly get. But, the crowd popped and they didn't boo him despite, what people think, about, where he might lean left or right, or red or blue.
He didn't
get booed. You know what I mean? But it's always cool. My godson Bear, he told me before the show, I think the Undertaker might be my favorite. So when I heard that gong, I immediately picked him up and stood him on the chair. I'm like, Undertaker's coming. So he was literally like, to watch 8-year-old him just be in awe. And all he saw was this man ride a motorcycle around the ring. But again, something he's never going to forget. And he was just like, oh, it's the Undertaker. Very cool moment.
And at the end of the day, yes, we older wrestling fans, we have what we feel like we need to be delivered on. But at the end of the day, the WWE has become the giant conglomerate that it is because they make sure that you leave that building with moments like that at a young age, dude. Yeah. And that is where you make moments that people will never forget, not because of necessarily directly because of a match, but mostly they make moments out of magic, that feel like magic. And like there's number one, as a big guy fan, I don't know why the hell Taker was there for Mania. I don't know why he even helped Cody. I'm like, did they even interact? But that's me just speaking as a hating Roman fan. But yeah, bro, it's those moments By the way, Bear Kutcher is a hard ass name. Are you kidding me? Like, bro, that's his wrestling name right there. Bear Kutcher. Like, come on.
Once we found out he was a boy, it was like no matter what his government name is, his name is Bear. Like sometimes I forget what his government name is because I just call him Bear.
Bear Kutcher is nasty, bro. But yeah, it's those beautiful, beautiful moments, and maybe it's him passing the purple and black. I mean, if she's Lady Taker, it makes complete sense.
Especially with them calling Priest the bisexual Undertaker, and so that would have been that would have been
Lady
cool.
Taker.
Had Priest come out and join them, then you could have been like, all right, now this all kind of ties together and makes sense.
Yes, but it was another magical moment, and just another way to cap off, just to give it that PLE feel. Yeah. I'm not mad at him.
No, definitely.
But then the next one, we had a musical guest come out, and he had a moment that I was confused. Not gonna lie. We come back from commercial break, and we hear the theme that I believe is the theme for the next WrestleMania, which is "Fiend" by Travis Scott. And then, I wouldn't know where to look if it wasn't for the crowd all turning their heads.
Yeah, all night it was just like, okay, where's he coming from?
Yeah, and I really think if I know because that's Jey Uso's thing, but I really think Travis would have got a huger pop if he was down the ramp because you, as a crowd, you got to be looking for where he is. But my man came out smoking the blood.
Yeah, I mean, right in the middle of Intuit Dome,
came out
on Monday Night Raw.
Blood.
I was just like, wow, okay.
Yeah.
And then rewatching it because I had to watch it when I got home. I'm like, oh, they never cut away from him either. They didn't. They just they rolled with it.
Smoking the blood,
smoking an L. And then Jay comes out, and I was like, please, Jay, don't.
Boy, don't you do it.
Do it,
I
Jay.
know you want to.
I don't need you getting 60. Not right now.
I know you want to.
The Jey Uso experience. Oh, first of all, real quick, let me go back. I need to give someone their flowers quickly before we go back to Jay. I got to give Liv Morgan her flowers, dog, because when she first started in NXT, I'm going to be very honest with you, my first thought was she was a bootleg Carmella. Because they both kind of dressed alike. They both wore the sneakers. She had a similar, and Carmella had already been doing it. So I referred to Liv as a bootleg Carmella. Liv Morgan over the last few years, she's grown into her own. She's a legitimate superstar, multiple time women's champion, and
amazing character work.
Great character work. So I got to give it up to her, man. As someone who I was just at first kind of like, whatever. She's coming to her own, and they've got a superstar on their hands. So big ups to Liv Morgan, man. It's one thing that's hard to do for me, O'Shea, is if I'm not into you at first as a wrestler, it's hard to flip me, and she did that. So big ups to her. I just want to give her flowers. But yeah, the Jey Uso thing, like I said, Bear was ready for Jey Uso. He was ready to yeet. He had to arm things down, and when that music hits, man, just watching the reaction of the crowd. One thing I got to say is, it's not all due to him, but that's a little bit of the Roman Reigns effect because he elevated a tag team specialist in Jey Uso, who Jimmy was always like the funnier of the two, if you ask me. So if you would ask me, I was like, maybe it would have been Jimmy, but no, it was Jey. Jimmy unfortunately got hurt, which really opened up, and Jimmy had never been hurt before. That was the other thing. Opened up this new world for Jey Uso to like, look, man, here's the ball, do something with it. We got main event. First of all, we got I'ma get him. And then we got main event Jey Uso. And now the reaction he gets, is he the most over guy in the company right now? He might be. Like, it was amazing to be there and to, for all of us to be eating with him. And that was great. Amazing.
What I look at it like is there's three things that really factor. Well, four. But okay. You got Jimmy and Jay. Jimmy is the funny one, the louder one, the one that is kind of feeds the crowd a little bit more to interact with. And you got the quieter one, Jay. What happens when there is no crowd? When we were in the Thunderdome is when Jay started to shine, when we got to see internal emotion and it was quiet and we can see him get that acting off, to get those performances off in the middle of a ring and put on many movies during that Thunderdome era. That's when eyes are starting to hit Jay. Like, hold on, like this dude he's the character to watch right now. And just the battles with Roman back and forth, crowds sympathizing with him because we saw Roman go on his beginning of tyranny. And then once Jay started to accept it, now he's part of the bloodline household name and things like that. And then when it started to crumble, he started to shine again and stand out to the crowds. Now that the crowds are back, he's getting those chants that he should have been getting when he was battling Roman in the Thunderdome. And then when he went to France, when Backlash was in France,
man, crowd of the decade, maybe. I don't know. Puerto Rico was lit too, though, man.
Puerto Rico was lit. But I'm talking about the Yeet, the best Yeet crowd was France. And I feel that every arena ever since was like, nah, we got to do that. I got to be a part of that. And now it has gotten to the point that my brother, Jey Uso, bro.
Main event.
Hearing his main event, hearing his voice is on par with hearing that glass break from Stone Cold. When you hear that, no matter what, bro, on your feet immediately.
And the beat's dope and gets you into it, you know?
Yeah, bro, that's that shit right there.
And then, you know, my favorite line, they kept this from the tag team song, and I just scream it every time they play. Line them all up, knock them down like this. Like, man, it's hype.
Yeah, dude. And it just gets your energy there, right there. And it couldn't belong to a better human, dude. I don't know one person who looks at Jay when he does interviews, like not just, I'm saying out of the ring, off of TV. If you look up this dude, whether it be the documentary, even they did this show where they talk about their tattoos. Yeah. The dude gets so emotional when he talks about his family. You see what type of heart that dude has. So I couldn't be happier. And I am for sure he is the most over baby face in the company.
Yeah, just great job by him. Like I said, he took the rock, he ran with it, and he made himself a primetime player. And Jey Uso is going to be on top for a while, man. But I'll just quickly say, the match with he and Drew, it was good. It's not the best match that they had. It did what it was supposed to do. Him beating Drew on a roll up like that, I didn't love that because by the way, I'm a huge Drew McIntyre stan, bro.
Yeah.
Like we like to say, you'll never make me boo Drew McIntyre, dog. It just, and he has every reason to go on this just rampage because he has been done dirty time and time again. So all of Drew's actions are justified, in my opinion. You know,
bro. When I came here on Tuesday. Gerard was like, yo, where were you? I was like, I was at Monday Night Raw, bro. He was like, yes. So you're really into that? And I said, dude, I got a guy that I think you would really enjoy. And I showed him Drew. He was like, oh, he's from Scotland? I said, bro, he's the Scottish psychopath. So Drew McIntyre, if you're listening out there, if we clip this, Gerard Butler is a fan. He knows you do, and he's rooting for you, man.
That's what's up. We gotta get Jerry to a mat. Well, first we gotta get Jerry on the stage here with us at some point, you know. But
no, he better do it, bro. I mean, I come on, dog. That's my guy right now.
No doubt. And now, you know, the biggest story, you know, and we're gonna wrap this up soon because I know you got press to do. The biggest story, maybe the biggest story of the night was the appearance of Hulk Hogan and the reception that he got from the Intuit Dome crowd. Now, I know a lot was going around as to why Hulk Hogan got booed, and there were a lot of people thinking that it had to do with his political affiliation because, you know, California is a blue state and, you know, whatever. My man Kazim, I don't know if you know Kazim, he was on Ariel Helwani's show, and he gave a tremendous breakdown as to why he thinks Hulk Hogan got booed. You guys should check that out. But I'm gonna just put it out there and make it very simple. I can't speak for people that don't look like you and I, but I can tell you from what we've heard about Hulk Hogan, and we heard those tapes and we heard the language that he used, and we know how he feels about people that, look closer to us than they do to him. And once that came out, man, it changed everything. And so for me, that's the reason I feel so many people booed Hulk Hogan. Is it because they're over the shtick? I don't know. Like wrestling, we love, old school stuff. We love sentimental stuff. So I don't really know that that's it. But a lot of people have been coming through saying, going back to the Jesse Ventura thing where he went to form a union and Hulk snitched on him, to the multiple stories you hear of Hulk Hogan changing booking, not wanting to put wrestlers over. That's come out, people getting their feelings. I can't really comment on that because I'm not a wrestler. I didn't get held back by him, but I know what I heard. And for me, I can't ever, I can't ever cheer Hulk Hogan again after hearing what I heard, and I didn't boo. I'll be honest with you. I stood there silently. And at one point and you saw me, I just turned my back. I just turned my back and I stood there with my arms folded. And there's a guy named Harry. I think his name's Harry Jowsey. I always see him on these Netflix dating shows. By the way, my man does very well for himself on all of these type of things. And so I saw him and he was standing there smiling. He was a few rows behind me. He goes, "Why turn around?" And I was like, "I can't rock with Hulk Hogan." He was like, "Why?" And I was like, "I just can't do it, man. I can't F with Hulk Hogan." So I can't speak for everyone why he was booing. But in my opinion, I just laid out the reason why a large number of people probably booed him, and I can't speak for everybody else. But there you go. That's why. And if you didn't know what he said, just go on social media, Twitter. You'll be able to find it. And then you tell me, would you cheer for him if you were me or O'Shea? I don't know.
I mean, when it comes to TJ, when it comes cracking down and it hurts inside.
I mean, yeah.
When that hit, there's a feeling of, oh man, it's Hulk Hogan. It's that instant excitement because as a wrestling fan, I know that noise, and it's a piece of familiarity. Sure, I butchered that. And I remember it happened. I sat down. And you were the first person I looked at.
Yeah, we looked at it.
You were the first. But we was like, bro, I'm not standing for this. And I sat there and crossed my arms. Then I took my phone out because I was going to do. I've always done at WrestleMania whenever Cody went up against Roman. I always recorded my face showing people that I didn't do the whoa. Mm-hmm. And so I started doing that again when Hulk Hogan's music was playing. And then when it cut off, I swore, am I hearing boos?
Yeah,
and so I started looking around and, this is why we have you on the No Contest Wrestling podcast, TJ, because I've always said you are the Obi-Wan Kenobi to my Anakin Skywalker. Because you did You do the mature thing. No, we're going to switch that up. We do the mature thing. We both got blue lightsabers. But you do the mature thing by turning your back and doing the respectful. What would Martin Luther King do? I'm going to do what Malcolm X would do. I let into him with all the gusto I had. From the diaphragm, folks. I booed into him. I told him nobody gives a F. Get that BS out of here. Boo. Wale and Eric Andre joined in with me. Boo. I got the video. I might release it one day, but I'm not trying to mess up their stuff. But man, I let him have it. And yes, it has nothing to do with who he wanted to vote for. Because the Undertaker came out and I wanted to give him a hug. It has nothing to do. It has nothing to do with that, bro.
And I'm pretty sure most of your favorite wrestlers probably voted in the way that you don't like. So it's it can't be just that. I think a lot of it's disappointment too, man. You grow up, you're thinking Hulk Hogan is this, and then you find this stuff out, and it's very disappointing, man. And
It is just time and time and time and time and time again. I hear about you on some BS. I hear about you, and everything that you built is a lie to my face. And it's not from fans. It's from people involved, people that have done business with you. And then on top of that, you put that racist rant is out into the world. And then when you get found out, you get quotes like, I mean, yeah, I am a racist, but what do you mean, but? ... And just because you got baptized, that don't mean all of us got baptized, bro. We remember. The North remembers Hulk Hogan.
Yeah.
And then you think about everything that you say that you are and all that. And then during the political race, you had a racist comment against Native Americans and Indian people. So, like, bro, we weren't the people who ate the vitamins that you made us eat, where we're brainwashed by that nonsense. And we gonna call you out because there's somebody who thinks you can just come out here and we just gonna praise you and do the bows and all that. No, dog, you got something to answer to. You think, bro, you know we got something to talk about. So, like, yeah, I'm happy that is a pivotal. People don't fully grasp it yet. That is one of the most pivotal moments in the history of the WWE, him coming out and getting booed that way. That is something with the fans standing up and saying, like, nah, dog, like, you were better off. You were better off saying, nah, Terry's racist. Hulk Hogan isn't racist. But, like, no, we're not trying to hear that, bro. We're not trying to hear that.
And it's also kind of shows you the difference. Like, the WWE crowd in Los Angeles booed him, but you put him in, like, a UFC arena and he gets cheers. You know, it's just, I guess, different. The UFC crowd is different, man. And that's the story for another day. But yeah, man, it's just like, I think the people just let them know. And also, if you're going to do a deal with beer, how do you not make a deal with Austin's beer? That man's never going to get booed.
Skull.
So how?
Broken skull.
I don't understand. Like, I don't know whatever. I don't know the ins and outs and the actual factuals. But if you're going to have a beer sponsorship, it would seem to me that you would have a beer sponsorship with the man who's synonymous for drinking beer and raising hell, and that's Stone Cold Steve Austin. But hey, what do I know? I'm just sitting here behind the microphone.
Yeah, bro. Hey, Stone Cold. Broken Skull is delicious. And that black can gets you really buzzed, bro. Look, man, hit us up.
We got cans of Broken Skull around the studio. But so that's it. That's the Hulk Hogan rant, in case people were wondering why O'Shea and I, in our own unique ways, tried to explain to you why the man got booed out of the building, and that's that. But before we go, let's just
rest. Wait. Yeah. Well, before we go, rest in peace to the Iron Sheik.
Oh, Sheiky baby. Iron Sheik tried to tell y'all. You didn't want to listen. You know?
I tried to told you.
All right, so before we go, let's hit up the main event. Two guys I'm very big fans of, but I got to say, one guy, he kicked off the podcast, so he might be a little bit ahead of the other guy who I like a lot too. But CM Punk and Seth Rollins got the main event spot in the first ever Netflix Raw, and I think they went out there and they didn't disappoint. What were your thoughts? CM Punk gets the win. What were your thoughts on the match?
I was nervous. I was like, it's rare I see Seth lose clean. It's rare that I see Seth take a pinfall like that. And, you know, I'm glad that the finish was something where it wasn't just one go to sleep. It was something where you got to put a giant down.
Yeah.
You have to put down a monster. I love and this is something that we can't hear live, but the talking back and forth amongst each other. It really felt like two baby faces that, as you say, they can't get along, so they got to get it on. And
just to interrupt you real quick, since we've been talking about him, in the car there, Bear goes, well, who's the bad guy? And I'm like, neither one of them are the bad guy right now. They're both baby faces. So,
and I think it was number one, smart strategically to put them at the end, because they both not only completely deserve it as how box office they are. You know they're about to put on a show.
Yeah.
But it shows that the crowd can be divided, Netflix. It can be just not so black and white. in this thing that we call professional wrestling. And, you know, I personally love matches like that because you are so torn. A lot of times we, as smart wrestling fans, pay attention to story, start to look at the direction it can go, and then we can kind of see where the winner might come, you know, the probability of one side winning more than the other. This was not that. This could have gone either way, and we know that the story is going to continue because this is something that might go into Mania. It is a 10-year storyline that is not going to end in just one night in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to NXT. This goes back beyond NXT. And if you just, you know, go do some research, look at YouTube, you can find the entire story of CM Punk and Seth Rollins. This isn't it. They're going to be going for a while.
Yeah, man, and I'm all here for it. I feel like it was handled the right way. I can't wait to see what promos are going to go down. But I do know one thing: it's going to be one of these two to go after the ring general, bro. He went almost unmentioned if it wasn't for a commercial. And these guys got to be battling to see who's going to take down Gunther, because right now I don't see who else it could be.
Okay. And well, I think that's about it, man. I think we've pretty much hit everything we got to hit. I know you got.
Oh, I will say this, Phil. I texted you after the match, and I was trying to praise you, and this fool goes, "Don't bring that trash Laker belt next time," and you could just shut the hell up. All right, I'm trying to be a good friend, and you're just toxic as hell, just a cancer.
Look at that guy. That guy. That's a look of a guy who's having a good week, and love is love for this guy right here. Life is good. Well, I know you got movie star stuff to do, brother. So we're going to let you get going. I think we've been on for about an hour now. Remember, Den of Thieves 2, Pantera, starring O'Shea Jackson Jr. and Gerard Butler, is dropping this Friday, the January 10th. What is Pantera, by the way? I've been meaning to ask that. Is Pantera where you're at? Like,
no, Pantera means panther. We in the film, I am leading a group of thieves known as the Panthers, the Panther Mafia, and they don't trust your boy all the way, but they know I got the plan.
Is it because
they gotta listen?
Is it because is that why they don't trust you?
Oh, I'm quite T'Challa in this movie, bro.
All right, bet. Well, man, enjoy this week. I can't imagine how hyped you are. Happy for your success, bro. Everyone else, make sure you go check this movie out. Go support our guy. It's going to be a great one. If it's even close to the first one, it's going to be amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you, man. Thank you to everybody listening to the No Contest Wrestling Podcast. I do plan on being in studio next week, so we cannot wait to I know I can't wait to see you guys live and in effect. Den of Thieves drops this Friday. TJ, if you would, my brother, please tell them where to find us.
Oh, yeah, you can find us everywhere on social media. We're at There's No Contest on Twitter. We're at No Contest Wrestling Podcast on Instagram, and you can find all of our videos on the Rich Eisen Show YouTube page. And that's it for this week, man. For O'Shea Jackson Jr., big-time movie star, I'm TJ Jefferson, professional +1. We'll see you next Wednesday. Peace.
Make sure you go see Den of Thieves 2, Pantera in theaters January 10th with your bitch ass.
Jay Felly, hit my music.